Mark, Jerome,
Hi.
welcome back to Sonic Shocks.
Hey, how you doing?
Hi, Christina.
Doing well. So, last time we spoke, it was about the first album, and you started talking about the second.
Yeah, we started,
And that was a while ago.
it was, it came out over a year ago, and we were probably finishing the recording at the beginning of 2014.
Yeah,
Sort of Easter time. We were finishing up last year, and we had so much material, we kind of had a cut-off point, and it was like all these songs, because we didn't want to stop writing, but our producer was starting to lose his mind, the amount of material we were giving him. He actually did.
He did lose his mind.
He did lose his mind, actually, later, further down the line. But we made a conscious effort to keep writing, but just be writing with the second album in mind. We drew a line under what was gonna be contenders for Dark is the Night, and we started demoing the new stuff, and it was just Jerome and me doing 4 tracks, and months before, because it takes so long now to press a record, it's 4, 5, 6 months you can wait for the actual record to be pressed from when you finish recording and mixing and mastering. So I had the band demoing new songs with this second album, which we have now finally, as of last Thursday, started making.
Okay, so,
Yeah.
First and second, but written kind of almost at the same time.
Yeah.
And you said you've been trying to keep in mind what will go in one, what will go in the other.
Yeah.
How did you divide them? What's the difference between the two albums? How did they compare?
The first album was everything that we wrote. The best that we wrote for the first 2 years. You really shouldn't do that.
No, I didn't realise how strong it was, man. I was
yeah.
Killer
It's a
vape.
vibe.
That's like
Killer
having
vape.
three Rothmans at the same time.
Sweet blueberry with the grape.
Yeah, no, it was the first 2 years of Deadcuts, basically. The best songs were contenders for that album. We wrote a few, like Mary Disorder and DK, as we were recording, and the stuff with Beatrice as well. Ragged Star we'd written early, but Floods was something that literally we had a day booked in the studio.
Floods was strange, right? Because remember, we went in and Beatrice put her vocal down, right? Then we had a little break and we turned the TV on and we found out loads of the Midlands was underwater.
Well, the whole of the West Country was underwater. But we booked it, it was weird, we booked it a week in advance. We had the gig coming up at Cargo, I think, and we had a day in the studio. The rest of the band was saying what we're recording that day, and I'm like, we're recording whatever we write with Beatrice on Monday. And we wrote, we rehearsed the next day, did the gig, and then the very next day, because B was down from the West Country, we recorded. So yeah, Floods, I think, DK, Mary Disorder were the last songs written for that record. But it was basically, the first album was early Deadcuts. The best of the early stuff. Kill Desire, Dust Chasers we've been touring, and the difference with the new stuff. I mean, when we started demoing, I think lyrically, I made. I think with Dark is the Night, I made a big progression from everything I've done before in my career. True. So I kind of set a new level. So I just wanted to continue improving, honing that down, being more honest, more articulate, and the main difference is we've had sort of 18 months with this second album in mind, because in my head it was shit, we're going to record it last summer, we're just going to bang do it, but as things turn out, it takes time, and we've had made some changes within the band, all for the better, but we've maybe done 3 sets of actual demos with the group, and then everything we've kind of been working really intensely since this summer, as the recording time has got closer.
We've had to be strict as well. There must be really about strict, 50 other songs that we haven't put in the kitty for this album. that are just as good or equally as good.
Yeah.
But the new stuff is miles ahead, you know, and lyrically as well, like Mark was saying, you know, they're more direct, they hit you faster.
How do you pick? You said you got like 50. And
I don't turn that machine on there. There's a PC just out of shot. I don't turn that on. That's one way that we pick. Yeah, everything that went on that hard drive. Yeah, it's pretty random, like everything in Deadcuts. That machine don't go on because there's a track on there called Ghost World that I know if I hear, it's going to be like, it's got to go on the fucking record now.
You have to be disciplined, really fucking disciplined.
But you know, there's going to be a third Deadcuts album, so you know, we're looking at about 20. We got it down to 23. You know, I like that number. We got it down to about 23 songs, and I think it's going to be another 13-track
so 23
album.
For the second and the third?
No, 23 for the second. Yeah, this is what we're looking at, and I guess like I'm trying to think if there's anything that didn't. There's one or two songs that we recorded for Dark as the Night. Blood Moon we played live a lot. It's a really good song. There's one or two others that almost made it to Dark as the Night, but for whatever reason they didn't have the right feel, or yeah, I think it was a musical thing. It wasn't lyrical, it was just like musically we just didn't quite have it there, and we're sort of considering them for the new album, which is going to be called Hit on All Sixes. By the way, we've named it this time already. It's called Hit on All Sixes, and yeah, we kind of I think it's all new though. I mean, there's Blood Moon we're thinking about, and the rhythm section love all the stuff, you know, all the old demos. They're like, yep, you know, I want to try it, but we're going to cut off at 23, I think. And as far as I know, it's mainly, the bulk of it has been written since summer 2015. There's a track called Venus, and there's another track called Veins that have been around. Venus certainly.
We started gigging them.
SoundCloud, and people have heard Veins live.
We did that on the Sebado tour.
Yeah.
We went out on that.
Yeah.
And the crowd really reacted well to it.
Yeah.
In fact, all the new stuff is just so exciting to play. But a lot of it is you programming stuff up, because now you've got your own little home studio.
Yeah, it's the first time since early Senseless Things I've actually got a nice setup at home that's workable, and technology's kind of come to a place where, or my head has got round technology where I can.
I had this pedal sent to me from Russia, this great pedal, which I said to they're called Mac, and I said, can you make me a pedal that sounds like Lucifer falling out of space? And I think
I've got so much. Yeah, you got that pedal delivered.
It's like, I think I'm the only one in the UK with that pedal.
Yeah.
And it's the way it's going to stay. I'll keep all the guitarists away. I always see them at the front going,
what is that weird pedal?
Stay
Yeah,
away.
it come from. It took a long time to get it.
I know, but you know, I didn't give out the name of the pedal, though, did I? So I ain't telling.
Yeah.
That's my fucking sound.
Yeah. So there's a lot of stuff that sounds like a keyboard on the LP, but it's all guitars at the moment. We're experimenting a little bit, but I think we're going to save the. Yeah, we're keeping it 2 guitars, bass, and drums for this record.
Let's talk about the new lineup.
Yeah. Yeah. Let's talk about them.
Yeah. Well.
I think we can name the bass player right now because of he's legally not meant to be here. When's this going to be broadcast?
Will it be?
If he's out the country, if he gets his visa. So we can't talk about him, but we can talk about Cass, who I played with in the Senseless Things for 10 years, and he went on to play with the Gorillas for 10 years and a band called Penguin Cafe for about 6 years. They kind of crossed over, and we had quite a large falling out a long time ago, totally on me. And Cass, I kind of hit a wall with drugs a long time ago and come into recovery. And Cass, similarly, a few years ago, also come into recovery. And I think we didn't see each other during that time, and we run into each other I think I phoned him to make an amend. I can't remember how it happened. I phoned him to make an amend because I mean I really owed him an apology over you know, just some nonsense. I've been quite out of line, and he. I think he thought it was something to do with not being able to get me into a Gorillaz show or something, and he was apologising to me for not getting me Gorillaz tickets. I'm like, nah, man, I don't know what you're talking about. I was just really, really rude, just for the sake of being fucking. I don't even know where my head was at the time. I think I'd just come out of a rehab, and I was quite
Larry.
angry. I was quite angry, and I wasn't really in tune with any other emotion.
But yeah,
certainly not how I really felt anyway. And he got me a ticket to go and see the Replacements earlier this year when they reformed. They're a band that we played with a few times when they were together the first time. We went to see the Replacements and got talking, and Trevor, who we'd been playing with for the last couple of years, who replaced Joni early on in Deadcuts' career, had sort of come to a point where he had a lot going on, and he was saying, look, if you can get someone more committed. And I could never have imagined working with Cass again, actually, after 10 years of the Senseless Things, but we're kind of very different people now, and it's really clicked. And I guess, you know, we grew up together, we lived together. You know, his dad took me in when I was homeless when I was 15. It was his father who gave me a room until I was 16, and I was old enough to get housing benefit and sign on. And you know, my 16th birthday, and I owed his dad all this money, and he let me stay there rent free. So we kind of had the same record collection, 'cause, you know, we grew up together.
They got a great rapport. You know, and even on the first rehearsal, I was watching them both, you know, like really intently, and they had such a great rapport. The minute they started playing, it was almost like whatever had gone down between the fallout had just vanished like that. The second you start playing, relationships can heal like that, because music can.
We used to argue musically, yeah, like over. We used to clash massive, you know what I mean? Because that was the thing with the Senseless Things. We were particularly Morgan Nichols and Cass Brown and myself. We grew up together. You know, from when we were very, you know, 8, 9, 10 years old. I started the band with Morgan, or a band with Morgan, when we were maybe 10 or 11 years old, really, really, really young, when we first started playing, and we knew each other inside out. We were like best of friends, but and over years of playing together, you know, our different, you know, our personalities developed, our musical taste developed, and we, particularly me and Cass, we just clashed, you know, over music and all that stuff that we clashed over. Now we just laughing over, and it's sort of, we kind of know each other. We know what each other likes about the other, and we're kind of able to play to our strengths rather than, you know, I don't have to be right, or he don't have to be right, and it don't have to be this way or that, and it's really refreshing, you know what I mean? Because he's a very creative.
Yeah, he's very hands-on, isn't he?
He's very creative.
Earlier on, he was like putting like trumpet on a track that we did last night, you know, and not to knock the other two, but they just weren't like that, you know. They just weren't as hands-on and creative, and also
some musicians like to be told what to do, and so other musicians like to have a free rein to bring stuff. And I think if you're mature enough to have an open mind and be like, yeah, and not be a control freak about it, and open-minded, and also because Cass has come to this nearly 4 years down the line, he loves what we've done. I mean, that's when we went out to this gig. He was telling me, he's going, I got your record and I fucking love it. I love what you do with Jerome. He didn't know Jerome. He kind of knew Jerome from his, you know, from his public persona, and he had like an idea, a fixed idea of what you were like. He'd tell him
the Johnny Thunders thing, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Johnny Thunders,
oh yeah, he'd seen you out. He'd seen you out, that Johnny Thunders film and stuff. And he said, I didn't know, so I knew you two were working together, and he told me, like, I didn't know where to say hello, but I knew you two were tight, because I've known Jerome a really long time. But I mean, it's time, and it's like, you know, the Senseless Things is like a life. You know, I've lived like more than one life since then. It's such a long time ago.
So the
You've been a big
chemistry
part of that.
you always had on stage, which I thought it was central to your
Yeah.
live shows, is now going to be a full week.
Yeah, absolutely.
It kind of is spreading out. I mean, it's good because Cassie's sort of deferring to us. I mean, he's like very much, he gets what Deadcuts is about from an objective perspective, I think. You know what I mean? Because he's definitely he does, because his drum style, he knows what I like, and I'm like writing a lot of the drum parts at the moment, and we kind of have, to put it in a nutshell, he's like, you know, I'm like no fills, and he's like everything I do is one big fill, you know, like Keith Moon or something. But he's just he's like, put it this way, I've played drums on the new Deadcuts EP, Dope Girls. That's my drumming on that one, and Cass said to me, which was really flattering the other day, he said, if you want to put my name on that, you can. And you know, he's got he comes from a really strong pedigree of I mean, he's played some big places, played on a lot of records, and
it's the attitude
kind of
as well,
respect,
though,
yeah.
isn't it? I mean, the other two, the new two, are just like, you know, really into working hard and going the extra mile, because no one's going to give it to you otherwise. You know, you can't sit around and wait for something to happen. You have to grab it.
yeah.
And I think
that's not to knock the other two,
No,
though,
not
you
to
know
knock
what I
the
mean?
other
Because
two, no,
we've been
'cause they-
blessed by having
yeah.
like great rhythm section right from the beginning.
It's
you know
true,
what I mean?
it's
Like
true.
Joni was a great drummer, Trevor was a great drummer for the band, and Mark McCarthy is like a faultless bass player. You know what I mean? He's a great bass player, and he's still like one of my closest
yeah,
friends,
those guys are
you
still
know
our
what I mean?
friends.
But yeah, it is a very different thing though now.
I
It's
guess
kind
as
of
you go on and and you start doing more and more the way you guys have been doing, then things can change.
yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, we
Everyone's
kind
got
of
the
wore the
same
other two
time
out, I
or-
think, a bit. You know,
Yeah.
we've like, you know, there was a lot of like, I was getting kind of accused of like, look, you've replaced, you know, you become like a workaholic. You replace drugs with music, and it's like,
Yeah.
well,
So,
maybe
what's
I
wrong
have.
with
You know
that?
what I mean? Maybe
yeah, but
I-
what's wrong with that?
Yeah,
Do
maybe
you know what
I
I mean?
have.
What is wrong with that? Because
But I'm still as lazy as I ever was. I don't really think I could be
always
described as a
thought-
workaholic.
I always thought that the only way to actually get out of an addiction is to get
another
an
addiction.
unhealthy addiction.
Yeah, yeah. Most. I mean, we're blessed with having like that, as you know, because a lot of people in recovery don't have, who don't have something like music or art to fall back on, and
So you-
to have a creative outlet.
Do you
Yeah, it's
feel-
a total blessing.
It's like an exorcism, isn't it? I mean, essentially,
yeah, for real.
you're creating, and it's much better than a therapy session, you know, sitting next to someone you don't know and spilling your guts out to them. It's much better to write a song and, you know, let it out that way.
Yeah, I mean, I've done so much therapy, so I can't really knock it, and I've done so much
I'm
group
not
work
knocking
and
therapy,
fucking
but I prefer
thousands
to
of
write a
fucking
song.
hours, and I really did need it, because, you know, I got clean without doing any of that shit. You know, I got clean on my mother's sofa, you know, 15 years ago, and I was barking mad, you know what I mean? And a year later, when I hadn't touched a drink or a drug, I just wanted to kill myself. But I look great, you know what I mean? I look good on the outside, and because, you know, you come out and you're eating and you're sleeping, but I just couldn't walk by a building without like imagining like how I could get to, you know, past the security barrier to get to the top of that building to jump off it, and that's what it was like for me before I did any of the you know, before I went to rehab and whatever.
It's hard when you give it up, because it's
If I'm
like,
honest, that's the way it was
Do
for
you
me.
ever miss it?
yeah,
Like
I'll be
getting
honest
high,
with you.
getting high, fuck
yeah. That was easy. But like, you know, at the same time, I remember the terrible things that went with it. You know, like
Yeah.
being on stairwells, or, you know, even if I was in like a really nice place, like I remember going to some mansion party where there were like even the people that would be there would just be like the most disgusting type of people. You know.